Hi, I'm Bryony and welcome to the next session of the Christmas yoga series. So this class is based on a yoga journal sequence, and the aim of the class is to ground you and also to stretch out your hips, your back and your hamstrings, and to also restore your energy at the end of a busy day. So a good evening practice. No equipment needed, just your yoga mat. So we're going to start in child's pose, just taking a few breaths just to really sort of focus on grounding, connecting with the earth and just quietening the mind, the body. So coming onto all fours, taking the knees wide, bringing the big toes to touch and just sinking back towards the heels, stretching the arms forward and just allowing the forehead to drop towards the floor. Good. So if the forehead doesn't come all the way down, you can stack the hands instead, or make fists one on top of the other with the hands and rest the forehead down. If you prefer not to do child's pose because it doesn't feel comfortable for your body, then please lie on your back and just draw your knees in towards your chest. So wherever you are, just starting to take deep, slow breaths. Just almost up to your lungs capacity, not taking it beyond that. You're not trying to create tension in the body at all. So the breath should flow easily. We're just really focusing on lengthening it. So throughout the practice, we're just trying to keep the breath long, slow and steady. Just allowing the body to completely relax into each posture. Allow an element of letting go. Good. And then just slowly coming back up onto all fours. So just inhaling, stretching the chest forward, exhaling, rounding the back, and then sinking back again towards the heels. So just move through this a few times, inhaling up and exhaling, sinking back, inhaling up and exhaling back. One more time, inhaling up and exhaling, arching the back, sinking back into child's pose. Take a breath here. And then walking the hands back towards the knees, coming to sit, so swinging the legs around. And then we're going to take a cross-legged position. So there's one leg in front of the other, crossing at the shins more than the ankles, just trying to push out through the heels slightly, just coming into a gentle hip stretch. So bring the hands behind you, coming up onto fingertips, inhaling, lengthening the spine. And then exhaling, just starting to hinge forward from the hips. So only coming down as far as feels comfortable for your body. You might just be staying upright for this one, if the hips feel a bit tight. But wherever you are, just trying to relax, especially on the exhalation. If this is quite a comfortable pose for you, then you can always bring the arms forward, let the head drop down. Maybe if you're quite low, you can stack the hands and rest the forehead down. Just feeling that connection with the earth, the connection with the body against the floor. And then coming up. So from here, stretching the shoulders, taking the arms out wide, and then wrapping Right arm on top of left to start with, catching hold of the shoulders and just rounding the back, squeezing the arms together. And then either staying here or wrapping the arms, catching hold of the thumb or the hand or your wrist to start to lift the elbows. Just keeping the chin drawn in slightly, widening across the shoulder blades. And then releasing out, changing the cross of the legs. So opposite shin in front, pressing out through the heels. Inhaling, coming up onto fingertips, lifting the chest. Either staying sat up tall or start to fold forward over the legs. Maybe you can reach the arms forward. And exhale, just take it a little bit lower if the hips allow. Just noticing any sensations in the body, noticing where you might be holding any tightness or tension, and just seeing if you can direct the exhalation towards it, just to tell the body just to let go and relax. And then walking the hands back up again, taking the arms out wide, and exhaling, wrapping the left arm on top of the right. So starting off just holding the shoulders, rounding through the back, drawing the arms apart, and then wrapping the arms if you're able to, catching hold of the thumb or the wrist or the hand. Start to lift the elbows. Good, releasing out. And then coming back onto the knees, pressing back again into child's pose, letting the forehead drop down, stretching the arms forward. Taking another breath here. And then coming back up onto all fours. Having the knees now underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders. Coming through cat-cow, inhaling, lifting the chest. Exhaling, shoulder blades widen, pushing the floor away. Pelvis tucks under. Inhaling, drawing the shoulder blades together, letting the chest drop, lifting the sit bones. And then exhaling, rounding. A couple more like that. You can always close your eyes just to help connect with the breath and the movement. And then coming back to centre, this time turning out on to the right. So right hand, right knee, reaching the left arm up, stretching the left arm up and over. So really pressing into the outside of the left foot, extending through the fingertips, stretching the whole left side. So feeling the muscles between the ribs, opening up, giving you room to breathe. And then bring the left hand down, changing side, left knee down, right arm reaches up, pressing out through the right side of the foot, and then exhale, extending the right arm up and over the head. Breathing deeply into the right side. And then exhaling, bringing the hand down, coming up onto both knees, and then taking the right leg out to the side, toes facing forward. Keep the right hand on top of the thigh or the knee, reaching the left arm up and over, and then extending over into another side stretch. So you can look up underneath the left arm or just out to the side, or another option is just to look down at the floor. So just choosing the position that feels good for your neck. Just trying to let go of any tension in the body, so any pose where you feel you might be straining slightly, then just moving around a little bit, finding the right position for you that you feel just really gives you a sense of openness. And slowly coming back up again. Changing sides, left leg out, right arm reaches up and over. Just using the left hand to support you lightly. Good. And then coming back up again. So coming back up onto all fours, spreading the hands into the floor, pushing down with the fingertips, toes tuck under at the back, and coming into downward facing dog. So push back towards the heels, start to lift the knees up off the floor, keeping the back nice and long, so keeping the knees bent to start with, finding that length in the upper body, and then starting to lift up onto tiptoes, lifting the hips as high as you can, and then when you can't go any higher, just slowly lower the heels towards the floor. So feel free to pedal through the feet, sway the hips, shake out the head. Just letting go of any kinks that might have developed during the day. And then just taking a couple of breaths in downward dog, pausing in stillness. Good, and then next pose we're going to come into is pigeon pose. So you can either drop the knees now, or you could just take the knee to the back of the wrist in one step. So having the right thigh parallel with the right side of your mat, right leg draws across the front of the body, and just start to walk the left toes out behind you. So just starting up fairly high, just letting the hips release down towards the floor. And then either staying here, if this feels enough for your body, or coming down onto the elbows. So pausing here for a breath. And then maybe you can bring the whole body down, resting the forehead on the hands or extending the arms out in front of you. If this pose isn't good for your knee or if this feels uncomfortable in your body, then come to lie on your back and cross your right ankle over your left knee, catching hold of the back of the left thigh, coming into a figure four stretch instead. So wherever you are, again focusing on the breath. Slow inhalation and slow exhalation. Just letting the body release into the floor. Noticing where you feel the contact points. And then coming back up again. So tucking the back toes under, stepping back into downward dog. Maybe walking the feet out a little bit. And then other side. So left knee to the back of left wrist, left leg across the body, walking the toes out behind you. So starting up on the fingertips or the hands, letting the hips sink, and then slowly coming down onto the elbows, and then finally resting the forehead down. So again, just noticing the contact points of the body with the floor. Noticing the tempo of the breath. Noticing where you feel the breath in the body. back toes under, stepping back into downward facing dog. So coming into a low lunge, crescent moon lunge. So looking towards the hands, either dropping the knees and stepping through, or just stepping the right foot forwards. So knees over ankle. Bringing the hands up to rest on top of the right knee. Again, letting the hips release down towards the floor. And then sweeping the arms up, gazing up towards the hands in crescent moon. So on each inhalation, feeling length in the upper body, lightness and lift. On each exhalation, grounding down into the floor, pressing down with the right heel, the right big toe, top of the left foot. Toes can also be tucked under just to help take some of the pressure out of the knee. Inhaling here, and then exhaling, hands down, lifting the back knee, stepping back into downward dog. Good, so changing sides. So taking the left foot forwards, dropping the right knee, and then slowly coming up, resting the hands on the knee to begin with, letting the right hip sink, and then reaching the arms up, looking up towards the sky. Taking another deep breath here, and then exhaling, hands down, stepping back, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. And then dropping the knees to the floor, coming back into child's pose. So sinking back towards the heels, reaching the arms forward. Forehead rests down. And then walking the hands back. It's coming over to sit, extending the legs out in front of you, sitting up tall. So we're coming into a pose called head to knee pose. So drawing the right knee in towards the chest, just let the leg fall out to the side. So bring the foot towards the inner thigh, about a 90-degree angle between the left leg and the right knee. So turning now to face the left leg, left hand coming onto fingertips, using it as a bit of support. Inhale, reaching the right arm up, and just taking it to the outside of the left leg. So it's a gentle twist. So just using a slight resistance of the hand against the outside of the leg, just to turn the body. So option is to stay here like this. Otherwise, if it feels okay, you might be able to start to take the right hand down towards the left ankle, maybe catching hold of the outside of the foot. If this at all feels uncomfortable in your lower back, then just stay upright. You want to be able to sit up out of the hips without rolling back at all when you're sat upright before you start to fold forward. So if you're comfortable in this position, then you can take the hand round, catching hold of the foot. Inhale, lengthen the spine along the left leg, and then exhale, folding down, forehead towards the shin. And then inhaling up, exhaling, changing sides, so drawing the left knee in, letting the leg fall out to the side, and then turning to face the right leg. Inhaling, reaching the left arm up, and exhaling, taking the left hand to the outside of the right thigh or knee, just looking out over the right shoulder, out to the side. This feels okay, then you could start to fold forward, catching hold of the outside of the ankle or the foot. So just slowly letting the body release into the pose. And then if it feels okay, catching hold of the foot with both hands now, and exhaling, forehead down towards the shin. All the time on each inhalation, you're trying to think of lengthening the body along the leg, and then exhaling, releasing. So all the time trying to keep the spine long, giving yourself room to breathe. Good. Slowly coming back up again. Lovely. And now extending both legs out in front of you. Inhaling. Coming up onto fingertips, lifting the chest. And then exhaling, starting to fold forwards over the legs. So you might not come very far at all, that's fine. You can always bend the knees as well, just to give yourself a little bit more freedom to fold from the hips. Another option would be, if you've got a cushion to hand, you can always place that underneath your bottom, just to lift the hips a little bit more, give you a bit more leverage, just to allow the body to fold. So just letting the upper body naturally curve over the legs. You're not excessively rounding, but you're still going to have a slight rounding in the upper back. And then coming back up again. So coming to lie down on your back now. Take one round of bridge pose. So taking the feet hip width apart, hands either side of you, and then inhaling, just lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Just slowly walk the shoulders underneath you, drawing the shoulder blades together, lightly pressing the back of the head into the floor, and try to extend the knees forward so the thigh bones out of the hips. Just noticing the contact of the feet with the floor. Are you rolling to one side? Trying to have the weight even between both sides of the feet, and the front, the back, all of the toes. Maybe interlacing the hands underneath you. If you're up fairly high, you might be able to bend the elbows as well and catch hold of the sides of the waist, just to come into a supported version of bridge. Taking one more breath here. And then exhaling, lowering all the way down. So from here, taking the soles of the feet, pressing them together, letting the knees fall out to the sides in reclined cobbler's pose. So if this pose doesn't feel comfortable for your body, you can always cross one leg in front of the other instead, or just extend the legs just straight along the floor like that. So just again allowing the body to relax, letting the breath soften. So as we come to the end of the class, you can either stay in this position if it feels comfortable for you, or you could just extend the legs now. So If you're extending the legs, just having them slightly wider than hip width apart, just letting the feet roll out to the sides, just shifting the hips from side to side, just realigning them, lifting the shoulder blades, drawing them down underneath you, lifting the head, just lengthening the back of the neck, letting the hands rest to the sides, palms face up or down, or you can rest the hands on the belly, or one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. And then just allowing tension to release and melt away from the body. So letting go of any tension you're holding in the face, relaxing the jaw, the eyes, letting the tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth, unclenching the jaw. And then softening the muscles around the neck, allowing the chest to broaden, shoulder blades sinking into the floor, backs of the arms. Letting the hands relax, fingers unfurl. Letting go of any tension you might be holding in the belly. Just noticing the rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Letting the hips relax, widen, sink into the floor. The backs of the legs. Releasing any hold you have in front of the legs. Feeling the contact of the back of the calves on the floor, the heels. Just letting the toes spread gently and then relax. It's the whole body completely relaxed. So just lying here in stillness for another minute or so. If you have longer, then please stay longer. Otherwise I'll let you know when it's time to come out. So those of you who are finishing the class now, just starting to deepen the breath, start to move the fingers and the toes, the wrists and the ankles. And then reaching the arms up over the head. Deep breath in and exhale, just sigh out of the mouth. Another deep breath in. And then exhaling, bring the arms back up over the head, draw the knees one at a time in towards the body. Holding onto the shins, giving yourself a little hug, rocking from side to side. And then rolling over onto the side, pausing for a moment before you slowly come back up to sit. In a comfortable cross-legged position, bring the hands together in front of the heart. Namaste. Thank you very much. Have a lovely rest of your day, whatever you do with it. See you next time. Bye bye.